to the doers, the creators, the leaders, the ones who constantly positively disrupt, the champions, the ones who feel the fear and jump anyway, to the problem solvers, the ones who leave trails of great impact, to the ones that feel responsible for their communities, to the ones that grind, puke passion, inspire, motivate, energize, and constantly give, to the ones who control their emotions, thoughts, actions, and intentions, to the class acts, to the ones who hit hard, the ones that never take no for an answer, to the winners who hate excuses, thank you. The truth is, speaking to large groups is very hard for me. It makes me uncomfortable, and it's a feeling that does grab my gut and squeezes it. And that's why I do it. The last time I gave a speech was at my uncle's funeral just recently. He passed away just a short while ago. His name was Richard Rock. He served a lifetime for this country and was a highly decorated full-bird colonel that retired just before making general. When I was preparing my thoughts for that speech, it became clear to me that speaking about such an amazing man who had accomplished so much, a man with whom I had held in the highest regard, and a man who I felt was one of the strongest people I had ever known, would not be easy. How can you possibly tell a story about someone or something so impactful in your life and capture it correctly? Many words jumped to my head as I started putting my speech together. Loyalty, strength, soldier, hero, impenetrable, powerful. How about rock solid? He had an incredibly tough exterior. When he spoke, you listened. But for some reason, the voice in my head screamed to dig deeper. I started thinking back to my earliest memory of him. My earliest memory stuck out boldly. It would become the foundation of my whole tribute to such a great man. I must have been 7 or 8. We were at some sort of Little League playoff game. The crowd rose to face the flag. And someone proceeded to sing the national anthem. As I looked down the line where our family was standing, I could not help but notice my uncle standing there in strict attention. He projected a razor-sharp and tough as leather exterior as he stood there saluting the flag. My eyes surveyed the situation, and I realized tears were dropping like raindrops right off his chin as he sat there in attention. For some reason, that had an incredible impact on me as a child. Fast forward 20 years. Our family flew out to South Bend, Indiana to go see a Notre Dame football game. They, for the first time ever, were playing the University of Nevada, Reno, where I attended college, and we definitely could not miss it. My uncle had sent my cousin to Notre Dame, so this game was a big deal for the Rock Boys, and we were all there. The game started to get underway. We all rose for the national anthem. As the band began to play, I couldn't help but look right down the line at my uncle standing there, again, in strict full attention. It was almost like deja vu. And just like when I was a child, his tears began to fall. Drip, 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 down his solid, stern face. Fast forward again, to the last time I saw my uncle alive. It was almost exactly a year ago. The Rock Boys in our family come together from all over the United States once a year and meet in the middle of the Nevada desert for our annual chukar hunting trip. Many of you will not know what a chukar is, and that's okay. It's some type of bird. The stories, traditions, and memories of these camps are amazing, and I cherish them. I never in a million years would have guessed that that would be the last time I would see my uncle alive. He was healthy as an ox and he looked amazing. When I was thinking back on the last memory of my uncle, something funny happened. A great full circle had connected. We were all hunting a steep shale rock canyon. My dad was way below us, in the belly of the canyon with my other uncle. My brother was about 100 yards below me, and my uncle was on the ridge of the canyon just above me. As I looked up towards the ridge of the canyon, I could see my uncle had sat down to relax on a large rock. Just then, flying at what seemed like Mach 1, a low-flying F-18 came ripping down the heart of the cannon, lighting it up. Then a few seconds later, another, and another. They proceeded to fly by once more, flapping their wings, clearly seeing us waving at them. On that last flyby, I looked up the mountain, and standing in the silhouette of the sun beating down was my uncle, saluting those men in full attention. And I don't know this for a fact, but I'm pretty sure the tears were falling as he stood there saluting his fellow patriots. I often wonder what was behind those tears. What nightmares, failures, tough circumstances. What fears and memories did he carry with him? In thinking about the end of life, it's very easy to put things into perspective. What is the meaning of life? The big question is, what impact will you leave this world before you leave it? We all have a finite amount of time left to achieve something, anything, to leave some sort of legacy, to positively impact this world. To start being impactful, most likely you will need to start asking yourself, are you achieving your dreams? I recently did an interview with a magazine where they asked me something to that effect. They quoted me as saying, yeah, I'm living a dream right now. And yes, dreams do come true. Once you kill yourself to defy all odds, accept the fact that your life will be 10 times more pain and stress than joy and comfort, are willing to use all 86,400 seconds in every single day wisely, and become fanatically obsessive about achieving, creating, and becoming valuable everywhere you go. Now, one might say, that's not what living a dream should look like. Pain, stress, heavy weight, no. But the fact is, any dream worthwhile that has any real lasting impact will take this effort, no doubt. Easy to grasp. If they were easy, everyone would be living theirs. When I was a kid, I used to have the same reoccurring nightmare that happened constantly for many years. I still remember it vividly, and until recently, really never thought about it or had any clue what it meant. In the dream, I was just a child standing in the middle of a blindingly white room, so bright that it hurt. I was dressed in a white karate outfit in every dream. The panic would set in when I could never find the exit. The room had walls with no defined edges and no apparent doors. My panic in the dream would many times lead to me gasping for air as I wake. When I look back on my life and think about that dream, it becomes clear to me what that panic was. Being stuck somewhere and not being able to get out is a fear that to this day drives me. I've always been a driven person, even as a child. It wouldn't be for many years later till I could laser focus on what it was that was always driving me and how to learn to use it to my advantage. I describe it as a ticking. Tick, 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 that relentlessly ticked inside me. I quickly realized it was just fear. Fear, 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 fear. We've talked a lot about fear. If I were to show you a picture of a strong, bold mountain lion chasing a timid, scared bighorn sheep, and pose this question, which one am I? Now, how cool to be the hungry predator that attacks with precision. The king of the jungle, whatever. Fact is, I'm that baby little ram, scared to death. And these fears haunt me, and it's perfect. It's my advantage that I can spot them. They keep me moving forward. That mountain lion keeps me grinding this way. I'll never let it get a hold of me, right? For the longest time, it felt like something is chasing me, and I can't quite get away. And at that same time, felt like I'm chasing something, and I can't quite reach it. This place between my fears chasing me and my visions pulling me leaves me very little peace. This mode is uncomfortable. It sucks, but it has allowed me to achieve so much. It's this mode that I'm stuck in and now realize how to fully capitalize on it. It's beautiful. It's constant forward progress. Non-stop trajectory. The highest achievers in life have mastered owning fear and using it to their advantage. Fear is something I love to focus on. It's not the big things. It's not jumping out of a plane, wrestling alligators. It's none of that, trust me. It's the little fears that if you can spot them and correctly react to them, they can slowly change the course of your life forever. I personally have learned to feel the fear, see it as a thought, then jump. Fear can easily cripple your abilities if you let it. It'll ruin your day, keep you from sleeping, and stall you from all progress. And it's never the big things. It's fear to confront somebody. It's fear of making a phone call. It's fear of the doctor. Fear that stalls you and presents itself as any excuse or procrastinating thought. Why would you let any idea slip away that may have the ability to manifest itself into something amazing? Why would you prolong the inevitable and suffer? I love this quote. Remember, today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. Any procrastinating thought should stop you in your tracks. Just jump. Feel the fear and do it anyway. The most amazing things in life are right on the other side of terror. It's where the champions are made. For me personally, I've been working on myself constantly, and I know my strengths. I manage to use tricks to put pressure on me to perform. One of my big fears is talking, but it's opening my big fat mouth and saying I'm going to do something, and then not being able to perform or not doing it. Being all talk and no action is a simple thought that drives me. And since I talk so much about my ideas, my visions, and my plans, I put all that out in the universe constantly. It actually puts a ton of pressure on me, because now I have the burden of being all talk and no action. So you better start acting, Erik, or you're just another loser, right? Putting yourself in these positions is the secret to forward momentum in life, I promise you. We purchased a building that was 60,000 square feet in 2015. The original ask on that building was just over $6.5 million. It was an Ashley Furniture Home Store building, built 2008 for $9.1 million. Nice building. This building has been on the market for nearly 5 years. But still, this building was so far out of our league. I used to drive right by this building every day on my way to work. Gorgeous building, sadly generating 0 sales tax dollars and begging for someone to pick it up. We had a retail business that was needing more space, and the other locations were doing well. But how could we possibly afford such a massive footprint in such a prime location? Well, the reality was I became obsessive about this building. I looked at this building for nearly 2 years. I would regularly go around to all the windows and glass doors and press my face up against every one of them, just dreaming about how we could pull this off. I never let it go. I gave myself every excuse of why this was impossible. Almost all my family and friends thought it was a stupid move. Everybody thought I was joking, but I was dead set on making something happen, somehow. Finally, we jumped. Not quite knowing where we would land. We put an offer in. Long story short, by the grace of miraculous timing, 6 months later, I'd worn the seller down to a $3.5 million contract price, and bam baby, we were in escrow. And here's the best part. That's when I felt sick. Because now what? Now it got real. No more obsessive games. It's time to perform. Put up or shut up. I honestly believe that the only person that believed in me was my dad. Not one other person I could think of thought this was a good idea, except for my dad. My gut kept screaming and pushing fear aside, and using a lot of balls and persuasion, bleeding passion and vision to anyone that would listen. We somehow got the deal done. Now, this deal would have never gotten done without my dad. It is important to have people in your corner who believe in you. But you must make them believe. That's the secret. Now, you know what's funny? Lots and lots of people believe in me now. Anyway, the first day we owned this property, I remember calling a commercial cleaning company to come and clean the building. It was spotless, but I figured this may be the last time ever this monster building is empty, so let's deep clean it. When I showed up, two little old ladies, one skinny little old lady and one plump little old lady, and a small child were standing in the middle of a 60,000 square foot building with two brooms and one mop. Not shitting you. I remember thinking, WTF. This is who they sent to clean the building? Turns out you should never judge a book by its cover. That little short, plump lady is one of the most loyal, amazing employees I've ever had, and now manages the entire maintenance of that building. Have you ever seen anybody get 10 bids to fix one broken toilet? She does. And I cannot tell you how valuable she has become. I prize loyalty. If you don't have a Barb in your life, I highly suggest you find one. Anyway, when we were walking around evaluating what cleaning needed to be done, I could not help but notice something interesting. Thousands of fingerprints scattered on every window. Greasy, oily forehead marks, cheek marks, and nose marks. I couldn't help but feel a moment of emotion as I realized those fingerprints represented me telling myself 2 years running that something was impossible. Every fingerprint represented an excuse of why we could not pull this off. Never give up on something. Think big. Stay hungry. Be resourceful even when you have no resources. When you want something bad enough, find a way through being resourceful and relentless. Perseverance can carry you a long way. Promise you. Today that building is generating nearly $5 million a year in sales, and the building itself is worth nearly $7 million. If I would have let fear control any part of that process, and trust me, I felt it, I'd be sleeping on a blow-up mattress still. One thing that has always intrigued me is this guy. High-achieving people. It's like you have 24 hours, just like everybody else. How do you use your time differently than the rest of the 99%? What decisions do you make that are different from the rest of the 99%? So I believe the answer starts with something very simple: self-discipline. Making sure your actions, your routine, and your behaviors are in line with what you want your life to look like. If you want to be a fat, unhealthy person, eat McDonald's every day. And your wish will be granted in no time, I can assure you. Focus your mind on the opposite, and the opposite will be true. The biggest problem with most people is they have fleeting moments of strength and then quickly dissolve into nothing. The 2-day miracle diet, 7-minute abs, it's a joke. There are no shortcuts. They do not exist in anything in life. If I'm not bleeding, if it wasn't painful, if I didn't grow, if you didn't earn it, you don't want it. Nothing worthwhile is easy. It takes time, patience, direct, finite thought, with laser focus and a ton of passion. And you've got to be sold on what you are doing for the long haul. Most of this country keeps jumping from carrot to carrot, never ever sinking their teeth into anything. They chase the next raise, they have no loyalty to anything or any idea, and they only serve themselves. My advice, and Einstein's advice, is to become a person of value. Add value everywhere you go in life. Leave this room better than when you came in. Bleed passion everywhere you go. One of the secrets to my success was understanding the value of being passionate everywhere I went, even when it may have been unnecessary. It takes a lot of energy to be passionate. I was born in Reno, Nevada in 1984. I was born to a single young mother. My biological father split on her before I was born. They were married. She likes to point that out. But she was just a small child. In the first years, my grandparents helped her and were a major part of my life. When I was very young, my mom was working for the person she would end up marrying. He became the single most important figure in my life, no doubt. Instead of growing up fatherless, I had a stable home, and I thank him for so much. I had an amazing family, and I learned a lot of great values. I can't say that I was not scared of him, because I was. He was tough, and I now appreciate that looking back. I worked since the day I can remember, in my head at least. Child labor was a fact of life in the Rock family. I now appreciate that fact. I had some tough years in my late teens, headed into college. I had several injuries playing sports and a couple back-to-back major surgeries. They introduced me to prescription pain pills. It was a miserable time in my life. Almost 2 tumultuous years where I felt like the soul had left my body. It's important to know where rock bottom was for you in your life, because I realized scar tissue is incredibly valuable. It's another tool to value. Feel the worst part of your life and turn it into magic. Never forget it. Look back and own it. I can clearly see how easy a life can be ruined looking back. It's true of anything in life. It takes years to build something, seconds to destroy it. Years of consistency to build a good reputation. And one bad decision, and it's over, baby. Ruined. I'm so thankful that I somehow got out of that mess. It took me a while to get my brain working correctly again, but from that low point in my life, I never looked back. I've literally been working on my thoughts, emotions, intentions, the space around me, and I've gotten good at this. I always control the space around me. My energy, my decisions, ever since that time. Now, my eyes are so wide open, it's not even funny. Life for me really did not start, as far as I'm concerned, until I finally bit hard into something. My father got hit hard in the early 2000s. He was developing a piece of property that our family owned. He was building an amazing shopping center, and timing was less than optimal. My dad became crippled by the economic conditions circling around him during that time. And then crashed, lights out. 2006 hit, dark days, right? I admire my dad in so many ways. For what should have been the end of the book, chapter over, failure, bankrupt, was really just the start to a different chapter. The book wasn't even getting good yet. New life was born. Didn't happen overnight. He sold cars, managed a drugstore, drove tractors, and relentlessly pursued getting back on the horse that didn't kill him, but I'm sure it felt worse. And on a random day in the fall of 2008, our business was born. And off to the races he went. It was not pretty, not sexy, not anything we're talking about, but it was his. It was an opportunity. He was not going to be like the rest of the 99% of the U.S. He was born to be an entrepreneur. And I won't lie, I wanted no part of it. My mom wanted no part of it. She wanted to have a stable, secure, safe job with benefits. Whatever those are. And leave the stress of being a business owner for somebody else. Not my old man. He jumped in and started going. It would only be a short while before I started opening my eyes to the possibilities. Started pondering how I could capitalize on an opportunity to add value and jump into the business. Before I could fully commit, I had to be sold on what he was doing. Couldn't jump in unless my whole heart was in it. The store started building steam, generating sales, and becoming actually pretty cool. My dad made several great chess moves, took some big risks, got out of some bad leases, and jumped into a huge lease in a large building in Reno. And for the first time ever, I did become sold on something. My wife and I had just got married. We didn't have much. But what we did have, we sold. So now we really didn't have shit. We packed one car, moved to North Idaho to start what would become the best decision of my life. We lived above this store in a large office that was on the second level. There were no windows. It was gloomy, sad, and depressing. My wife was not sold. It was a trying time in our new marriage. We had 2 blow-up mattresses, which we called the bouncy castles, and 2 puppies. Trapped in a little room while I tried to prove to the world that I could pull this off. We ended up living above that store for nearly 8 months. Most miserable time of my life. Mostly because my wife was having such a hard time with it. We left everything we knew. She left for me. And we had to make sense of it all. She cried a lot. And I pleaded a lot. To believe in this process. To believe in me. She just wanted to go home. We took lots of random drives just to get out of that building, and dreamed of getting out of that box. Now, I will not drag you through the relentless years of grinding. It's that part in the water that no one sees. 7 days a week, and constantly pushing the limits of my capabilities and the limits of the people around me, with every ounce of intensity that I can muster. The process started 10 years ago. It's where I learned everything. Through the fight, the struggle, pain, and through the stress of turning nothing into something, was jumping out. Since that time, I've designed a life that most can only dream of. We use synergy, energy, leverage, and momentum in every turn. We turned a business that nobody could see the potential in to a brick and mortar retail operation that is on track to do $15 million a year in sales. In that same time, we've amassed as a whole over $17 million in real estate holdings. Our equity position would blow your mind. We now have stores in 3 states with plans to build the next one soon. And in my opinion, that's the most valuable piece of commercial real estate property in the entire state of Idaho. I won't go into why, but it's going to be sick. Over 200,000 square feet of the most prime commercial real estate in each of those markets, the largest of which is over 60,000 square feet and has over 150,000 cars that drive by it every single day. And most importantly, under my sweat, blood, passion, tears, and fortitude, with laser-focused vision, created one of the most unique shopping experiences in the entire country. Incredibly proud of what we've created. I challenge you to find another retail outlet like it. We have pushed the limits on everything we've done. We have forever in our communities changed the perception of what we do. The limits of what you think is possible or impossible depends solely on what you tell yourself you can do or you can't do. Stretch hard. I just went through one of the most painful processes I could have ever imagined. I got in real deep on this one. A process that tested my will and stretched me thinner than I've ever been pulled. We built our dream house on Hayden Lake, an incredibly beautiful lake in North Idaho. A year and a half of the most painstaking, over budget, kill me now construction. And it was a home run. My timing was impeccable, and our equity position would blow your mind. And to think it all started on a blow-up mattress. And the most amazing thing, in my mind, is I feel like I'm just getting started. I haven't even scratched the surface yet. It's such a cool feeling. I often get asked, how'd you do it? Honestly, that's a tough question to answer. Everybody sees the result. Nobody sees the bloody process, right? I believe the foundation and heart of any operation or business starts with you. As you grow and become successful, little bit by little bit, you're forced to adapt, change the sales, change the infrastructure, constantly reinvent yourself, and most importantly, in my opinion, is to find ways to create more yous. You've got to replicate yourself, or you cannot grow. And some people are okay with that. Not me. I was put on this planet to have a huge impact and constantly disrupt. It's now part of my DNA. I love this stuff. The best advice I can give is if you want to become a game changer in life, you've got to think like game changers. And more than just in business, you must live your life with healthy balance. What's the point of being successful if you're miserable, overweight, a shitty parent, and have gone through 2 divorces, and a 19-year-old is your newest addition? Real smart, Bill. You've got to stay laser focused on all areas of your life. Because losses here, right, offset wins here. Living balance is hard. You must focus on it daily. It never ends. This is how you die. It's work, 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 work. I recently started a new business. It's an advertising company with the main objective being to facilitate in-house marketing for our own companies. As we look to the future of massive growth, like all 50 state growth, IPO growth, roll-up growth, franchise growth, it is becoming clear that all the synergy and money circulating around us will be important to keep close to the heart of this operation. So Rock Productions LOL was born. First order of business was building our new social media platform. Sorry, Cantu. Listen, real quick, I'm going to address this before I dive into this one, and I'm only in it for 10 seconds. You know what? I wish I could have been a cowboy. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not talking like a now cowboy. I'm talking like 1800s, getting on the horse, going down the dirt road, kicking down the doors of the saloon, and getting a sarsaparilla. To me, there's something so appealing about the old world, the old way of living, right? I don't know why I felt the need to say that. Totally screwed me up. My flow is all fucked. So Rock Productions was born. Anyway, social media, the now and the future of advertising forever. I'm not a huge fan of social media, which you probably wouldn't think by looking at my profile. I don't think that being so connected is necessarily a good thing for society. Little drones walking around, buried in their phones, seems a little impersonal and scary to me. However, it's a tool and you should capitalize on it, or fall behind. So instinctively, my creative juices started flowing now that I was in the marketing business. For whatever reason that my gut pulled me here, we started interviewing and capturing unbelievable footage and stories of dynamic game changers in our local communities, the Inland Northwest, and how they accomplished so much. We started close to home and quickly found this was a great way to build a following. We've been capturing these interviews on video, editing them, and telling amazing stories. Happy stories. These guys are massive staples in our community. I want to share a little bit about these guys and tie in their characteristics that so very quickly became apparent to me. My first interview was with a guy by the name of Ron Nelson. Ron owns a company called Ground Force Worldwide. He sells the largest mining equipment on planet Earth and is doing business in over 78 countries. Imagine navigating that paperwork and red tape. This guy does more for charity and philanthropy than any person I've ever known. And just a side note, I have found that the people that give the most, right, are the guys that have the most impacts, the ones who have the largest footprints, and the ones who have succeeded to the highest levels. If nothing else, that's a good reason to get rich, so you can give it back. What's your cause? Children with cancer? Baby whales? Tigers? Special needs? Does not matter. If you do not produce, you cannot impact. So, Ron Nilsson, incredible human being. We also conducted several other interviews with some amazing people. One of the largest car dealers in the country, one of the biggest home builders in the state, and one of the top producing brokers in the United States. There's a famous quote by Isaac Newton, and I love this because this is so me. If I've seen further than others, just like giants. Surround yourself with amazing people. Infiltrate their infrastructure with passion and purpose. It's great advice for you young people. You can learn a lot. I will tell you that I believe what has gotten me so far is the passion that I live my life by. I can see when I talk to someone much older and wiser, all you guys, I'm like 21, than me, that have achieved far more than most, that they see small pieces of themselves in me when they were younger, right? That connectivity is invaluable. It's the most resourceful tool you can use if you're a young person. To have a mentor that will give his soul to you. Use it. I've used it in incredibly creative ways. I became laser focused years and years ago, and still am, on one thought. How do I get into rich people's homes? How do I get them to let us sell their stuff? And how do I get them to buy our stuff? And probably most importantly, how do I get them to become cheerleaders for what we do? Because that's where the magic can happen from in my world. High net worth clientele moves mountains when mixed with the volume of regular resale traffic. I objectively lasered my focus into that singular thought. The creative ideas started rolling when I formed a valuable relationship with one of the largest car dealers in the country, a guy by the name of George Gee. George started selling cars nearly 40 years ago. Today they now rank in the top 50 dealers in the country. These guys are making acquisitions everywhere. Their last deal was a cash deal for $100 million, where they bought all the Tonkin dealerships in Portland, 17 to be exact. This guy spent millions in his career branding his own name. This guy has sold countless Porsches in his career, and thousands of other cars from every make and model you can think of. His Rolodex is hot, I promise you. I wonder, would George lend his face and name to me? I'd already developed a friendship somehow. Did all his charity stuff. I know he loves our business. I bought an expensive car from him. Is there any leverage in this to help my position? No. He wouldn't risk his name and reputation on a used furniture store. Wrong. He was on it.
If you're looking for a vehicle, go see Gee. But when I'm looking for furniture, I go to Consign Furniture.
Old George, he changed the game for me. This was years and years ago, but I'll tell you what, it started a process that was pretty amazing. I cannot tell you how many countless people would come in our store with big, huge diamonds on, massive sapphires. These were game changers. They had impact. Their footprints were huge. And asked, is George Gee on this place? His circle was deep, and he spent a lifetime building it. And with a huge smile, I would just say, yes, he does. We quickly started turning heads. At every turn, we found opportunities to keep capitalizing on creative ideas. And every time we got a little bit bolder, a little bit better, and turned more and more heads. We objectively sought out one of the most amazing couples that I've ever met. Ron and Shelley Rosenberger of Rosenberg Construction, one of the largest custom home builders in the state. These guys have a reputation in a business that rivals the best and have an incredibly large footprint that gives back to their communities in ways that are incomprehensible. Could we infiltrate their precious infrastructure that dates back nearly 40 years? Yes, we did.
Hi, I'm Ron.
And I'm Shelley.
At Rosenberg Construction, we build some of the most beautiful custom homes in North Idaho.
Like our spectacular spec home, now for sale at the club at Rock Creek, Coeur d'Alene's newest private golf course filled with stunning natural beauty. Our custom homes are furnished and designed with you in mind.
For our clients looking for that unique, one-of-a-kind piece of furniture, we always recommend Consign Furniture in Liberty Lake.
From great rooms to dining rooms to master suites, consigned furniture is sure to turn any house into a home.
I cannot tell you how many shortcuts that jumped me, right? It was genius advertising and tied into a guy that's built thousands of homes for a lot of high net worth people. And now when little old Mary's cutting carrots on the island, and all of a sudden Ron and Shelley pop up on the screen, instead of that just right through their head, it stops them. Hey, Bill, wake up. Look at Ron and Shelley. Do Ron and Shelley own this place? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. It's awesome. They're great people. Imagine one of the top selling brokers in the country lending his name and reputation to you. Almost 40 years in the top producing category. John Butler, by far one of the biggest realtors in the inland Northwest. Or the biggest, what am I saying? He is the biggest. He owns Century 21 in our market. 2 times in his career, he was #1 in the world for Century 21. The world. An incredibly impressive resume. And an incredibly humble human being. Could I get John Butler to do a commercial for me? Would he put his face in front of my business? And how could I pitch to a guy of that caliber to lend his name to a used furniture store, right? For free? No way. But he did it for us.
Hi, I'm John Butler with Century 21. Welcome to the beautiful Gem Shores Estate here in Hayden Lake, the most premier waterfront property for sale in North Idaho. This 8,600 square foot masterpiece is designed with the most unique furnishings from all over the world. Every piece has a history and a story to tell.
When this home sells, the furniture must go.
Consign Furniture in Liberty Lake is the only company we refer our clients to. Our clients deserve the best, and Consign Furniture delivers every time.
Now, John didn't just do that once. We keep going back to the trough. Trough, wherever the water's at. And this time we took it really far. An idea that manifested in my brain in February took 5 months of laser-focused vision to put together. We not only capitalized on John, we tied in the largest private home in the state of Idaho. A home over 29,000 square feet. Built by one of the original Amway legends, Ron Purrier, and effectively created skin in the game with the top 200 producing agents in the inland Northwest by volume. We sent out hand-delivered invitations, and we immortalized that agent's face on the cover in a 5-page invitation. Over 800 people showed up. Check it out.
She was looking so fine.
Where's the butler?
It's John Butler.
Hate being judged by your name? So do we. At Consign Furniture and Jewelry, we're not what you think. Our inventory is the best in the Northwest. Like this. And this. And this. And this. Check out the most unique shopping experience in the universe.
Find leverage to move you towards your dreams. Look in every nook and cranny and think outside the box. If I had no passion, if I wasn't bleeding it everywhere, I'd have never developed these relationships. I might still be on the bouncy castle. All the people that I've just talked about have incredible stories of trial and triumph. They talk about their failures much more than they talk about their victories. There were fundamental characteristics that they all had. Their businesses were totally different, but the core of these individuals is so similar. All are highly successful, driven, and inspired individuals that push the limits of what is possible. all while constantly giving back to the communities they serve. Just curious, does anyone even know how I ended up here tonight? Something that I put out in the universe he gravitated to, and I just give it one word: passion. He wanted to stay connected to me for that reason. I ended up going to that event in Coeur d'Alene, and he was speaking at it. I didn't want to go, but something did strike me. Zach, a good friend of mine who's here tonight, told me that he was a genius at creative financing. Those are words that came out of his mouth, and that's all it took. I was instantly interested. I love creative deals, creative financing, creative whatever. I love creative. Talked a lot about creative tonight. And personally, I many times have been forced to use creative financing to get a deal done. It's funny how opportunity and leverage are so often hiding in the crevices of creative negotiating. Going back to my earlier point, if you can't be resourceful when your resources are tapped, you most likely will fail. Greg spoke all night, and I was intrigued with his story. At the end, he told us to send the email that I'm sure a lot of people have sent, and I think it's only fitting to say what I wrote. Fuck excuses. Fuck all your poor excuses. Fixate on your dreams. Impose your will on your goals and ambitions. Think deeply. Never stop thinking. Always be learning. Crave knowledge. Never take no for an answer. Find a way. Turn stress into productive energy. Grind harder. Hustle smarter. Outwork everyone around you. Do the little things when nobody is watching. Someone's always watching. Details, small details, they matter most. Never lay down, hit hard. Play the fucking game. Better than your opponents, rivals, challengers, co-workers, competition, whoever. Trust your gut, unless you don't have one. Crush goals, then instantly set new ones. Crave more responsibility. Ask for more responsibility. Demand more responsibility. Even better, ask for opportunity. You'd be surprised. Show your passion, heart, and vulnerabilities. Leave all that shit on the table. Take huge risks. Why not? You have one life. Fail, fail, fail. All that does is eventually turn to win, win, win. Silver linings are in all of our mistakes. Look for them. Do everything big. Learn to capitalize on every single opportunity. Achieve something, anything, every day. Find time to sweat every day. Never underestimate the power of endorphins. Have a strict, healthy routine. Amazing how strict routine can shape you. Remember, money cannot buy one thing: health. Have a quality aura. Read positive vibes everywhere you go. Be classy. A class act always has advantage. Your actions will always define your character. Never forget character. Constantly make connections. Good connections. Connections that connect you to opportunities. Be likable. Give respect. Demand respect. Be a leader. Have a big heart. Be the person people reach out to when they need help or advice. Make everyone around you better. Hold yourself to extremely high standards. Force those around you to compete with those same standards. Live with compassion, love, and purpose. Opportunities everywhere, which is really hard to see. This is the time to light a fire in your life and go. To end, I wanted to share a video that a good friend of mine produced. It's about time. He uses a grandfather clock that's been in his family to illustrate this point. We paired it up with an incredible verse out of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verses 1 through 8. For everything there is a season, and a time for every matter under heaven. Time to be born, and a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck what has been planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. A time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, time to laugh, time to mourn, time to dance, a time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to speak, a time to lose, a time to keep, and a time to cast away. A time to tear, a time to sow. A time to keep silence, and a time to speak. A time to love, and a time to hate. A time for war, a time for peace. Life is short. The clock is ticking. The pendulum is swinging. And your heart is one beat closer to the end. Do it now. Thank you.